Hello everybody, my name's Kezia Luckett and I am absolutely thrilled. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to welcome today's guest to the Women of Contribution Inspiring Conversations podcast. And today I am welcoming the beautiful, lovely, super talented Elly Brown to the podcast. So welcome, Elly.
Thank you, Kezia. Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm going to just set the scene because where I discovered you is actually, it was one of my authors posted a video of you singing. And it was one of those videos where literally the hairs stood up on end. I got goosebumps all over my body. And I just thought, oh my gosh, not only is this woman absolutely super talented, I've got to know more. And I did just say to you, I went on a little bit of a stalking spree for a couple of days to find out a little bit more about you. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing on these videos?
Sure. Well, to give you a bit of background, I have spent my career using my voice, and I grew up as a singer. I became a professional singer. I used to sing on cruise ships and in an a cappella group, and I traveled the world. And I did a lot of on-camera hosting. I would do on-camera work for cruise lines and for different brands and that sort of thing. And I was living the dream. It was wonderful. I loved my life. I loved that I got to travel. I felt so blessed that I could make money doing the things I loved. And then I also at the same time had this autoimmune disorder that was affecting the tissue on my tongue. And it's lichen planus. And on some people it affects their skin, but on me it was one spot in my tongue that over, I would say maybe the course of 20 years, got really, really, really bad. My oral surgeon, when it was first diagnosed, my oral surgeon at the time said it was the worst case he'd ever seen of it. But not to worry, because people don't die of that. You know, that's, we'll just look at it every year and off you go. And so it was a bit of that sort of thing. And I remember in 2016, I was filming a movie called Alien Domicile. I was the lead actress in this film. And I was having a lot more pain, different pain than I had had in the past. The pain was intensifying. It was starting to be more constant. And so I wanted to figure out what was going on. So I went back to my oral surgeon and he said, and he swiped the inside of my mouth just with his gloved hand to touch the area. And he said, oh, I don't like the look of that. Not something you want to hear from your surgeon. No. So it ended up, of course, being cancer. And I started my treatment here in Nevada, where I live. And they did, I don't know if you could call it a lumpectomy in your mouth, but they removed the lump. And they decided to monitor it with no further treatment. And about a year later, it came back pretty aggressively. And I had been complaining of the pain, and I knew that something was wrong, but my scan came back clear for some reason. And I have since realized that perhaps my scans got switched because the company that did my scans didn't have my contact info. And the only reason I know that is because they took me to collections over a $100 bill that I never paid. So I didn't find this out until like 8 months later that I had owed this company money. And I was putting two and two together, and I thought, I wonder if that's why they thought my scan was clear when I had been having this aggressive cancer in my mouth. So I'm laughing, it was a mess. It was so because if I had gotten treatment sooner, perhaps things would have been different for my singing career. But I can't regret any of it. I think what happened was supposed to happen because so many wonderful things have happened since then. You were asking me about the content. Now I'm trying to be open about what has happened to me and talk about it because I'm finding that there's a lot of other people that have physical challenges, whether it's with their looks, scars, the way they talk, things like that, things that we can't help, that are preventing us from being out in the world among other people. And we really need other people to thrive, don't we?
Oh,
And,
totally.
we really do. And things like that can keep us in our shell. But I just want people to know that whatever's happening with you is great. And if you can pick it up and like hug on it and love it and run forward with it, instead of nursing those feelings of shame or loneliness, you know, no one wants to live there. And it's surprising. It really is. I know people think about the internet as this very cruel place, and there are some people that are cruel, depending on what's going on in their lives and how they may have tried to receive or give love that didn't work out. But I can honestly say, Kizia, I mean, I would say 99% or more of the interactions I've had with people online, no one's made fun of me. No one's tried to diss me for speaking on camera. It's all just been love and support, and hey, also this has happened to me, or hey, I've had this experience, or that sort of thing. And there's nothing in the world that makes me happier than knowing that people that maybe have this or that going on in their lives can find each other on this page of videos and perhaps connect, or find other places to connect that are meaningful to them. So
Yeah.
I'm
and from your perspective, I'm just kind of trying to delve back into, you know, this situation that you suddenly find yourself in. Your whole career was built around, if not singing, acting, and obviously being very visible in the public eye. I will get to kind of the journey from where you were having that, you know, that big operation to where you are now. But what went through your mind at that time to think, you know, this is my career, you know, being able to use your tongue is your career. Being able to sing is your career.
You know, I always had, I think what got me through it was that I always had a seed of hope that there might be something I could do with what was happening to me. You know, even in the beginning, and when I say beginning, I mean, even when they told me they would take half my time in the big surgery and replace it with tissue and bone from my leg, even when they told me that, I always held a seed of hope that I would get well enough to do something. And I knew that my career, as I had known it, was going to come to an end. But perhaps, though the nature of the work would change, perhaps if I could get well enough, I could do things on social media. Maybe I could do things as myself. You know, one of my big frustrations when I lived in LA, when you read the casting breakdowns for different projects, is we're looking for real people. We want people who are really a chef, really, we don't want actors, no actors. Like, there's so many no actors projects in Hollywood, it's unbelievable. And I was always sort of like, well, what would they want with me? I'm, you know, this boring white girl from, you know, why would I do anything? So since having the cancer and being able to make the content, it's made me visible in another way, which has been really exciting. I've had directors reach out to me for their personal projects that include different kinds of wonderful, ordinary women doing extraordinary things, just like you and your podcast. I got to do a music video, and there's I see, you know, when you see a seagull, the shore is near, and I see lots of seagulls. So I'm not worried anymore about the future and about losing what I lost, because now there's something I can take and give to someone else. Whereas I felt like I didn't have anything before to really give anyone or teach anyone or help my community. So 1,000 times this is better 1,000 times over. If someone said to me tomorrow, if I could wave my magic wand and change you back to the way you were, would you want that? I would say, absolutely not.
I love that, because many people see that, you know, these big things that happen in our lives are something to cover up, something to feel ashamed of, something to worry about, something to hide from, or hide, you know, from the world from, because they don't necessarily want people to see them as being different. And I know you've done quite a few videos on YouTube talking about, you know, looking different and having the scars, and you know, the interactions that you've had with people. Can you expand on that a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. In my case, what happened to me physically, I'll just describe a little bit of what happened with my cancer surgery so people get a sense of what happened to my body. They rebuilt my tongue and my jaw with muscle and bone from my leg. So they did a flap here where they cut me from my ear up to the front of my chin. And if I get a little closer, can you see that? And during that surgery, in order to make sure that I was still breathing, they had to trach me. So I have a nice trach scar here. And then I couldn't eat, so I had a feeding tube. And I got a pretty little guy right here. And I'm going to show you my leg.
I would like to. They've done a good job.
I still have a lot of redness and scarring. And it's such a funny thing, because when you have a body that hasn't suffered all that trauma, and then all of a sudden you get all that at once, it can feel very overwhelming. You feel a sense of, you know, you're losing some of your femininity. You feel that you're losing some of your confidence. But I found that I would test myself. So during my recovery, you know, I would say, today, maybe I'll wear a skirt that's a little bit shorter. Today, maybe I'll wear shorts. And just see. And you know, sometimes people do stare. But honestly, I think it's because they're fascinated. And to anyone who feels like people are staring at you because you're different, things have happened to us to make us the way we are. And if someone is naturally curious about that, it's an opportunity to connect. I know a lot of people maybe aren't so outgoing, or they don't want to necessarily be so open about those things. And it is a private, personal thing. But I have found that when you're open about it, when you take beautiful pictures of them, this magical thing happens where your brain stops saying that they're ugly, and your mind starts telling you that you're beautiful, that they're beautiful. And wherever your thoughts are dwelling, that's where your spirit's going to live. So you know, when we talk negatively to ourselves and have that inner monologue that says, this is ugly, nobody wants to see this, that's the expectation that we're setting up for ourselves. And that's what we feel like we're seeing when people stare. But if we set up the expectation for ourselves that we're beautiful and interesting and fabulous, and that people, you know, might want to know more about us, then that's what that feels like. And if we spend time trying to find out about them, you know, we won't feel so bad about telling them about us. You know?
I love it. I love it. And the thing that I really love is because, in actual fact, you know, when you're given a life-threatening illness where things could go either way, there is that possibility that you might not have that scar to be able to say, do you know what, I survived and I came out the other end. And from my perspective, and for anybody that's listening to the podcast rather than watching the video, You know, Elly is the most feminine, beautiful woman that I have ever seen. You know, her light shines beyond and, you know, far into the ether without the looks as well. And she's got both. So, you know, there was never any doubt that your femininity and your beauty would shine through. But I understand, because for us as women, it's really, really important. And we tag our femininity to so many different things. You know, some people might tag it to their hair, other people to their breasts, other people to their voice. And speaking of voices, was there ever any doubt that your voice might be affected and you might not be able to sing again?
Oh yes, absolutely. Radiation is a very scary thing. And I was very fortunate to have radiation with a special type of machine that really concentrated the beam in a very specific place, but it did damage my vocal folds. I mean, I can feel that. And it damaged my salivary glands. So you see, I just took a sip of water and now I'm a bit wet. I have a lot less control over the amount of saliva in my mouth. Sorry if that's TMI. But yeah, my voice lost a lot of stamina. I get tired very easily when I'm singing, not so much when I'm speaking, which actually shows me that I think I do have the opportunity to build up my strength some more. But when I'm singing in particular, the next day after I practice, often I'll wake up with a little bit of a sore throat. And I know that's probably the effects of the radiation talking, and that will be forever different. But again, if it helps me get the message out, let it happen. Let it happen.
And you are certainly getting the message out. I mean, you're opening up the airways for people to be able to talk about this stuff, because before we kind of opened up the podcast, you and I were talking, and one of the things that you said to me, and I think it's so true, is that everybody knows somebody that's possibly gone through breast cancer or some of the more common cancers, but oral cancer isn't necessarily something that is out there that many people know about. And possibly, and this might be my naivety, you know, when we think of oral cancer, we might think of potentially a smoker or somebody that's, you know, done some kind of damage to their mouths themselves through activity. So it's not that though, is it? This can happen to anybody.
It really can. And at first, you know, when I was diagnosed, I didn't know anyone. I had a mutual friend of mine, a friend of mine that introduced me to someone that he knew that had it. And she, like me, had been a performer before she was diagnosed. So she really held my hand, and she was an angel, and she would text me and she would send me packages during my treatment. And she taught me how to eat and feed myself once I could get back on real food. And I was so thankful for her. But at that point in time, I wasn't online much because just like anything else, you know, there's so much good to be reaped from the online forums, but there's also the possibility that it opens you up to see things that you didn't know could go wrong. And so at that point in my treatment, I wasn't on the forums yet. And when I finally joined the page that I'm on right now, it's just on Facebook, it's called Survivors of Tongue Cancer. It's not my page. Eventually, I do hope to start a community on Facebook, but this is someone else's page. And meeting them, you know, online, and being able to talk to them about what type of cancers they had and how they dealt with the after effects and what it was like when they had their trach out, and how to eat and how to relearn how to walk again, you know. Lots of people have their surgeries in their leg, but some have them in their arm. I've even heard of people having their flap taken from their pectoral muscle. So there's a lot of scenarios where you think, how am I ever going to find someone else like me? But they're there. They are out there, I promise you. And joining a community like that was a game changer for me, because I met others that had lichen planus. And, I have never been a smoker. My tumor tested negative for HPV, which is actually a bad thing. You want your tumor to test positive because those tumors are easier to treat. So this is a sort of thing that you don't learn unless you speak to others who've been through it or do a lot of research. And sometimes online, it's hard to sift through the good information and the not so good information. So I would recommend to anyone to join a forum, absolutely.
And like you say, I would never know. I would think, that actually was a good thing that you test negative. And we don't know what we don't know. And I suppose with any journey that we go on, whether it's divorce or whether it's cancer or whether it's another life-threatening disease, we don't know what we don't know. And we also don't know how we're going to handle it and what support and where to go. And obviously you've shared some of your support, another lady that had also gone through it, that was there to hold your hand every step of the way. And you have a range of social media where people can come and listen to you talk, listen to the beauty of your voice. I mean, it gives me chills, literally gives me chills. So can you just tell everybody where they can find you if they want to know more about your journey, but also get to know you as a person? I mean, that was the one thing that I absolutely loved when I kind of went and looked on YouTube, is you're very open, very approachable, very honest about your journey, honest about those things that were bothering you. And that to me is probably the most courageous thing, is that so many people don't do, is that they cover up with the mask that says everything's fine, don't worry. And actually you're able to express.
I have the viewers to thank for that, really, because they give me so much encouragement. And when I post a video, like I said, no one is there to make fun of me. They're really saying, thank you for being this mirror for us. And, if it helps one person be able to step out into the world and feel more comfortable and more confident and really live in their fabulousness of exactly the way they are, then it is all worth it. And they can find me on YouTube at Real Elly Brown, RealEllyBrown, or on my Instagram at the same handle, at Real Elly Brown. And my main show page is my Facebook watch show page, and that's called The Elly Brown Show. So at The Elly Brown Show. And I just want to say before I go, Tazia,
of course,
say one more thing to your audience. If you feel that something's wrong with you, please go get treatment right away. I was shocked to learn how many people are so afraid of hearing what a doctor has to say that they don't follow through with treatment. And when you see pictures online, statistics and photographs of things that have gotten bad, that's not going to be your experience, because you're going to take care of yourself. Those are the people that didn't take care of themselves. So make that first step, talk to your doctor, and go stay on top of it, because you want to be on the high end of those percentages, the low end of those percentages, not the high end.
And to be honest with you, I think that is such an important message to all women listening, because we tend to put everybody else ahead of ourselves, and we go, oh, well, I haven't got time for that, or, oh, I'll do that when I have some space, or I'll, whether that's a smear test, whether that's checking your breasts, whether, that's a mole on your back that's just growing slightly bigger than you think it should. We all have 150 reasons, especially as women, as to why we'll come to that and why something else is more important. And I think what you've just said there is absolutely key to every person, not just women. If you think that something's wrong, even in your gut, and to a certain degree, you went several times to your oral surgeon and was told, actually, no, it's A-okay. Was there part of you that thought, do you know what, there's something that's not quite right here?
Oh, yes. The pain told me. And after my big surgery, of course, I was on a morphine drip at that time, but from that time on, even after I got out of the hospital, I was pain-free. So listen to your body, because even just my autoimmune disorder caused me pain before my surgery. And afterward, the doctor had cleaned out all of that tissue. So my quality of life, even though I have a speech impediment and even though I have scars, the quality of my life has skyrocketed. And I want that for everyone out there.
Mm. That is the most beautiful thing to leave everybody with. And I just want to say a massive, massive thank you, because I contacted you, probably less than a week ago and said, can we speak? I want to interview you. And you were so approachable. I said, yes, of course. And you know what? It's just been an absolute pleasure to interview you.
For me too, and I love the work that you're doing. Thank you for going out in the community and passing along this idea of passing along all these ideas. It's marvelous. It's marvelous, and I'm so happy to be a part of it in some small way. Thank you, Kezia.
No, thank you. Well, that is Elly Brown, and if you want to find out more about her, all the information that you need is in the show notes, and obviously if you're watching this by video, all the information and the links are below the video. So please join us for the next episode of Women of Contribution, Inspiring Conversations. Take care, everybody.